So the next thing can be separating deploys that are not proposed, maybe figuring out what are their dates of last modification, and then trying to figure out what contracts should be possibly can be useful and proposable. So this is like, I don't know what's the algorithm to work with the remaining unproposable deploys. If not just manually check every one of them, but that's kind of not very performant work.
Right. That seems to be rather labor intensive to do that.
Well, what I was thinking we could do is let me share my screen here again. Okay, we have what happened here? Okay, we have output. It comes out to standard output, right? Which we have all these outputs that come out, and these are essentially the test program, and this is the ballot contract here, which was interesting because I was able to do a propose. Deploying this failed. I mean, proposing this failed, but then after I submitted deployed something else, I was able to deploy again and to propose again. So we have all these inputs, but they're not deterministic. They could come out in any order, or we don't know. They're only partially ordered.
So sorry,
these are a lot of these are done in par, right? So what we can do is we can take these outputs from running the if it has a test script in it, like ballot does, we take all the output and we put all the output in par, and then we can look at the structural equivalence. So that's my deploy, my propose. So I got block success here.
Sorry, Jim, I think I'm not following.
What's two things here? I'm talking about when I deployed this ballot.
Yeah. So yes.
I got invalid transaction. Right?
This is what I had.
Right. But then I did another deploy of just 1 + 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that was successful. And then I did a propose, and that was successful also.
Yes, this is what I observed when I deployed. If I deploy ballot.row on a clean DAG, all subsequent deploys, all subsequent deploys and proposals ends with invalid transaction. Maybe if you deploy something before ballot.row, you can propose after.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I guess nobody knows why that fails now. I was going to try to cut it down until it passed. See if I can identify what's causing fail.
I created tickets for that. I don't know if we can figure out without going into the code, because it's kind of a.
Well, I was just thinking, maybe try to get a minimum case that fails, whatever. So then, what I was thinking is we can take the outputs, the standard output, and put them in with par with each other. And then when we run it again as a test, they can come out in a different order, but they'll still be structurally equivalent. I had some problems here with getting this to print out right. I wasn't printing out true. But so, and then, we had, of course, we had even complex statements like, we take this 4 and put it in parallel with this 4 with different variable names, and they still come out equivalent. But in any case, that's what we were thinking of doing for a simple test, is find the contracts that have error, and then just put all the output from the contract into par and save it. And then when we rerun it, the test, we just do a structural equivalence with what we had before. And that means that it still works.
Sorry, we're selecting the deploys that we can propose or broken ones, because I guess you said we first select the broken deploys and grab output out of them. But what output?
No, the deploys that are working and have a test program. They have the contracts that output stuff to standard out or to standard error. You take standard out and standard error, and we compare. So these contracts run, these contracts have output. So we put all the outputs in par, and we test to see if they're equal to the outputs we get again by running them on the equal structural equivalence on our chain. You don't understand?
I'm not really familiar. What does it mean? Putting all the outputs into a par. What does this mean?
Okay, this means putting a vertical bar between each of these outputs.
So in parallel, executing this in parallel, but these are outputs of contract executions. These are not row lang sentences.
These are
rolling expressions.
Well, they are the row lang constants. Really, I mean, what do we have? We have strings. We have lists, strings, lists. Okay, this is.
Yeah, but there are no sends or any channel interactions here.
Right. We just put these in parallel.
Yeah, and what should we get out from this code?
Well, this is the expected behavior. All these in parallel is the expected behavior.
So we are taking this piece of code that you're highlighted, put every line in a par, and running this over the row lang interpreter, and we will have no output. because there is no stdio calls sends on this name.
I'm sorry. What do you?
He said there would be no STD outputs or sends on the name. I guess the question is how you
Yeah.
put them in parallel. How are we going to be able to view any output or what the results will
Right.
be?
Well, okay. This is the expected output. So we save this. Okay. We put this.
Okay, that's the expected output. All right.
The expected output, and then.
And you're going to run that in parallel with.
So we put these in par. Colon 1 comma $ substitute slash
Oh, you put.
$ slash
Okay.
par. So we put these all in par with each other.
Okay.
Okay. Now we say this is equal. Okay. The outputs we get the next time we run it. Okay,
The next time we run these contracts that printed this output.
Okay. Okay. So you say you run the Rolang deploy. You get this output. You take the output, put all its components in parallel, and then you're going to run the ballot.row again and get another set of output, and you're going to take that, put all of that in parallel. So the first run is structurally equivalent to the second run, and then you're going to submit that as a deploy to verify that it is in fact structurally equivalent.
Right. Yeah. So this gives us the value true. Now, of course, we'll have to print that out. So we'll have to add to this.
So that's the end result.
This is the expression. This is the original output.
Okay.
This is the output we're getting this time.
Okay.
And we have equal. We
structurally equivalent. Right.
Okay, we go. We can go here. We can do open. We can do a new out. New row.
Check your spelling.
STDOUT. And in, and we want to write the standard out. This whole thing. So, and we get rid of this vertical bar here. Okay, and then we just do an eval on this, and it should print true.
You should remove one more vertical bar at the end of the first execution result.
I think I did.
Yeah.
I think I did. Nope, I didn't.
Nope. And there is a single quote you missed in the beginning. The row that IO.
Thank you.
STD out, yes.
Um, oops. If I take this whole thing, and this is going to get errors because I changed the format of the unforgeable names. So this would get syntax errors. But the output, the regular output, and there's something wrong with robot. The log keeps the log keeps emptying itself out. Now it has nothing in it.
So do you expect, Jim, that in some cases we will have the result of this compression of false? If we execute some command, get the result, execute the same command, the same deploy, get the result, put all stuff in the parse and compare them, so it can be sometimes false.
Well, I mean, if I'm thinking of most of the test cases that are, I typically see written with programs, they would have the same output every time. But I guess if it was the case that we had a lot of cases where these weren't going to be the same, it might mean that we would need some custom exception case handling. If it came out false and we look at it and say, well, that wasn't really false, maybe we can filter out the stuff that isn't going to be the same somehow. Ignore the stuff that's not going to be the same. I mean, that would be custom work. I'm just saying that generally we should be able to just compare the outputs. Maybe not. I haven't looked at the outputs in all these routines. I just know the normal way Dan writes and Joshi writes. There'd be some test outputs that would generally be the same every time. The only thing that would differ would be what order things were in. And I guess you could write some other program to sort them and see if they're different.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess this makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was good. Let's see here. Let me go to my agenda. Oh, that was last week's. Bear with me here. Oh, I moved this thing. Okay, so and then I don't know, Nutsimper, you created what dApp devs might want to know. I don't know if I saw that. I don't know. I had it on the agenda last week, but we didn't really go over it. I don't know if there was anything in particular you wanted to. I thought it was very good that you put that together. So it's a good starting document. I don't know if there was anything you wanted to speak to on that, or just let it stand as it is.
Yeah. Thank you for writing stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't to take a look yet at this, because right now I guess developers don't have time to do this.
Right.
And they are looking for a tech writer, so maybe that would be the kind of person that should answer these questions while working on the documentation.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be a good role for them to fill, to have someone in that capacity. Okay. And then I put on here, I wanted to take a moment and talk about the EChain improvement process. So I think it was last Thursday, I think Nutzipper, you were on the EChain call for the first hour, but it went on for another hour or so, and I was taking notes. So Tomislav talked about some feature improvements, which would be nice to have in the future. And so, I kind of have those written down, and I can go back and view the video. But I think we're getting ideas from one another as far as what we would like to see in the core development, or in what tools or features we'd like to see as dApp developers. So, and all of those can go into this realm of the EChain improvement process. So, this thing called the EChain improvement process was started towards end of last year by Kenny Rowe. There's a few documents that are out there. There's a wiki page, but they met a few times, and everything just kind of, there was no follow-up or follow-through. So I'm kind of, and I attended the first meeting or so to see what it was about, but that was early on for me, and I was still trying to get my head around what EChain was. But fast forward 9 months, I'm much more oriented. So I'm kind of thinking about where we're at as dApp developers, and all these ideas that are starting to bubble up, how to capture this stuff so it doesn't get buried in Discord, or get recorded on a YouTube video and just sit there on a channel and nothing really happens. So I'm kind of getting my head around this EChain improvement process with the idea that, hey, let's use this as a tool to capture all these good ideas. So initially what I'll do is I'll take Tomislav's thoughts, put them into kind of a Word document, and then in time, as things kind of progress, incorporate them into this EChain improvement process, whatever shape it kind of takes. So Jim, the question I had for you is, I was reviewing the membership folder. I know we don't want to keep opening up documents or creating new documents when other ones already exist, and you're kind of the keeper of at least a few of these folders, like the working group. So I did find there's this one folder called RACI, and there's a spreadsheet in there. And RACI is the responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. And all this kind of goes back to this EChain improvement process. So what if I rename this folder RChip, and with all these dApp development ideas and things I come across, put them in this folder as kind of a place that we can go to, that we know exists for this. We kind of revisit it, when in the future, but at least we kind of know where it's at.
I would put it in working groups. So
okay, in working groups. Okay, well, how about if I'm going to take this folder and I'm going to move it down to working groups and rename it?
Okay, no, what, how is it related to RACI? I don't understand.
So RACI is in this document that they created
Right,
for,
it's about organization.
right.
There's a RACI document that's for the governance committee, for example.
Oh, okay. Well,
So,
okay. So,
uh,
so
so you know, I guess
I was under the impression it was RACI was specific to the RChain improvement process, but that's
no,
not the case.
no, not at all.
Okay. Well, you answered my question. I didn't want to get in there and start changing things, although I did kind of make the document a little bit more pretty. It was kind of rough to begin with, but okay, I'll just leave that as it is, and then I'll come down here to our working groups, and I'm going to create a new folder called RChip, and put a document in there with Tomislav's ideas, and then another tab will be a collection of all of the links that are out there.
Now you probably want to put a link to that folder in a comment to the wiki page.
Okay. Right. That's okay. Good point. So, and that goes back to that cross-referencing again.
Yeah, or into the article.
Into the article. Okay. And I probably don't have right permissions for that, so I'll have to find out who has right permissions, or
you can make a comment, right?
Right. Okay. So I just kind of wanted to bring that up, and I'll bring this up during the group, the hangout on Wednesday, because I think it's useful that ideas don't just kind of get um, uh, comments get made, ideas get created, and they all just kind of float away or get buried. So okay, so that was that comment. So let me go to let me share my screen again and look at the agenda.
I guess there is also a lot of stuff happening in the Atlassian, in the Jira. Core dev team has a lot of talks on the improvement of the core platform, but the only thing that is needed is actually resources to do this stuff. So maybe Tomislav's ideas are really great, but there are not a lot of people who understand the platform as well as he is to organize such kind of process in a community. It would be nice to gather this stuff, but this is not, in my opinion, this won't be like some document that we can push to be realized, to be implemented by the core dev team.
Well, yeah, certainly, and I recognize that. Certainly, no time soon. But this may be more of an exercise for me to get familiar with the Ethereum improvement process, which is what we're trying to imitate with the RChain improvement process. And they have all a whole process for instance, feature requests. There's a whole page that you have to fill out in order for for a feature to be considered. So with Tomislav, I would work with Tomislav, and this is once again just kind of an exercise for me to learn how to do this. Fill out this page. It would in time get submitted to the committee overseeing that, and then they would give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down as to whether it moves on to the next stage. So this is this RChain improvement process. This is something that we want to have in place, but there's quite a understanding this process and all the these how Ethereum is doing it, you know, I see that they're doing it, but I'm not, you know, comfortable with it, or I don't have
Yeah.
any expertise in it. So, you know, certainly this is all, you know, no time immediate, you know, anytime before November, but just to know that it's
Yeah.
we're taking those steps.
Categorizing this stuff
Right, because
won't hurt. So,
yeah, and whether it's Tomislav's features this week and next week, it may be something else, and the week after that. So, understanding how to take these ideas and start putting into this process is going to be good. But right now, I don't even understand the process. In the process, it's already there. It's the Ethereum improvement process, but you know, it's you know, everyone has to. Anyone who's interested in this Ethereum or the Archain improvement process has to get their mind around how Ethereum did it. So that's kind of what, and yeah.
do have something urgent on agenda because I have to leave earlier.
Oh, that was it. The only other comment I wanted to make, let me share my screen real quick. Next week, I want to attend, Jim, can we make our meeting earlier? So today's the 27th. So next Tuesday will be October 3rd. I want to see if we can schedule it for 1 p.m. instead of 3 p.m. so I can attend the board of directors meeting.
Oh boy.
So there's a couple option. Having it as we could change it to 1 p.m. and have it as that is the new time, or leave it at 3 p.m. and I just don't attend next week. And Jim, you could be the host, and I could come up with an agenda for next week, and you kind of run it. And once a month, I would hand that duty over to you. So there's two different ways. And it's just right now it's the three of us. So I don't know in the future how many people will be coming to these meetings.
So the board meeting is
At this exact same time. So it's at 3 p.m. Eastern time.
so we could do it at 2, right? We don't have to do it at 1.
2, provided we don't go over. I would have to leave exactly on the hour. But we could certainly do that. Just make it 1 hour earlier.
No, I can't do 1.
Okay.
I can do 2.
You can do 2? Okay. Nutzipper, 1 hour earlier for next week. What does your schedule and availability look like for next week?
I guess it's okay.
Okay. Well, we'll try it out. We'll do move it to 2 p.m. Eastern time. See how it works, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let's try.
Thanks for joining us, Nutzipper.
Okay.
You have
See
a
ya,
great week.
guys.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
So what are we doing here?
We're That was everything.
Oh, okay. So I was just looking here. This looks really simple here. If you look at, deploy Olang code here, you deploy it, right?
Okay.
This is Thomas's stuff here. Looks wonderful. So, if you want to read a file here, however you want to generate this from a user interface. Now, this will actually run in the browser. I don't know how. I have to look at the browser code. And I guess it's similar. But then, whoops. Deploy Roland code. Deploy data. Sign deploy. Give it a key, right? Sign deploy response. This is, this looks like really usable stuff.
Good.
The other side of it is listening for a response, which is the next trick to look into. This uses a proxy, but it runs in the browser. It's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay.